What does it mean to find yourself? To really be yourself? Finding yourself is a topic I've spoken about a lot on this channel already, and I've made some videos about this topic before, but I say so often in my videos that you should find yourself, you should focus on that, while I have never showed you how to actually find yourself. And today I want to give you some of my thoughts and some of the ideas I have gathered on what it means to find yourself in this video, so you can really find to your true authentic self and become the best version of yourself. The first one, and I've already mentioned that in past videos, was to spend time by yourself and to do a lot of introspection. And I still believe that this is the main key, because when you're really alone and when no other human is there, like when no other person can influence the way you behave right now, because oftentimes when we are around other people, it can lead to us putting on a little bit of a mask. Even with really close friends, we always appear a certain way. And so I think when you're really alone, you don't have to put up any masks, any barriers. You can just be your true authentic self. And so by spending time on your own, you can really find out who you are, because as I said, you're just your authentic self. This is the realest you can get. And I've said it before, when you're alone, then you have a lot of time to do introspection work, you have a lot of time to journal and meditate, which is exactly what you need in order to manifest this real you and to find the real you. Then when you, for example, journal about how you feel right now, what your thoughts are, you will get a better understanding of who that person is that you are. And so it's really important to just spend time by yourself and to just go in there, go into the solitude, go into the moment and find out what it is that you want and that you are and what you stand for, basically. The second point I want to make in this video, I recently read a quote that said, "We don't find ourselves, we create ourselves," something along these lines. And that's also something I think it's very powerful in order to find yourself, because especially when you're young, and I believe that most of you are probably my age or younger, then you will still have a lot of potential to define your identity and to define who you are and to really find out who you want to be in life, what you want to stand for. And by creating that identity, by creating yourself, you can find out who you are, right? If you have certain values, you can integrate this into you. For example, if you stand for justice, you don't support certain choices when it comes to buying certain things or to your nutrition or whatever it may be. And yeah, you can really shape your character when you're still young, and I think it's just easier when you're younger to define your identity and therefore find yourself, to find out the person you want to be. And for example, I didn't used to be a guy that was athletic and fit and disciplined and stuff, but I built that identity up on myself. I became the person that was training a lot and who was spending a lot of time in order to become disciplined, to become the best version of myself, and to just build my body and also build my mind, which is an aspect that not many people have seen of me so far, because that's, as I said before, an aspect that I mainly develop when I'm by myself, when I'm alone, when nobody else is watching. You can really focus time on creating yourself and creating the person that you want to be. I think oftentimes, or at least for me it's that way, that we have underlying things that we want to do. We want to be a writer, an artist, we want to write poetry, we want to design clothes, whatever it may be, for example. And I think I've said this before, I want to draw, and recently I was outside on a walk and I just took my journal with me and I sat down and journaled, and one of the thoughts that popped up into my head was I should start drawing again. So that's something I want to do, and I think that's probably the same with a lot of other people, or maybe the same with you, that you have something that you feel deep down inside you want to do, and so you can really develop that. You can really develop that character, the character of an artist, of an athlete, of a writer, whatever it may be. Just, as I said, do the introspection work, be by yourself, and once you have figured that out, then you can create that. You can create the identity. You can experiment with different things. You can see what you like, what you don't like, what you think would fit your identity, what you think wouldn't fit your identity, and there's a lot of room to grow. And it's not like the concept of yourself is just a rigid person that has to be like one person the entire life. Like your identity is gonna switch a lot throughout your life, and so you will adapt with that too. But just being aware of who you are deep down and then always adapting to the environment by creating new stuff, I think will really help you find out who you are. The next point I want to make, you should actually look to your past. You should see who you were as a little child and kind of replicate that. I'm not saying you should be exactly the child you were and I don't know, do stupid things and stuff, but I think once we're still young, once we're still very pure and we haven't gone through puberty and we can just be authentic, we can just be pure children and we don't have to fit into social groups or anything. I think that's something that comes when we get into our teens, when we get into puberty, that there's more of a social code and we have to do certain things to get accepted by our peers. But when you're still a young kid, I think not that many people judge you and your parents only want the best for you. You could live out your deep inner you that you are. And for example, I've always been a very affectionate and loving person, and I still am to this day, and I just recently realized that that is very similar to the person I've been when I was a small child. And when I talk to my parents about how I was when I was younger, when I can't remember, for example when I was 2 to 3 years old, I don't have that many memories about that. And so when you tell me who I was, that I was a fun kid and I would always talk a lot and stuff. Even though I'm more of an introvert person right now, I still have these traits. For example, I talk a lot when I'm with my family, when I'm with my friends. I always talk about new stuff and stuff that I'm excited. And for example, one of the character traits that I have and that a lot of different people realize to me is that I'm a really passionate person. Whenever I find something that I'm interested in, I go in with my entire heart, with my entire energy. I dedicate almost all of my life in that period to this, and that's something that I used to do when I was a little child, and that's something that I still do. It just has changed. Right when I was a little child, I had phases where I was really focused on dinosaurs and then becoming a policeman or something, and nowadays it's stuff like calisthenics, meditation, YouTube right now, or investing. And it's always that I still have this trait, and I used to have this trait when I was young. I would always dedicate to it and have a lot of these traits, and these are basically the main messages I would say to finding yourself. And I think it also takes time, and one thing that I thought about was that sometimes you have to be lost in order to find yourself, because for the most part of my life I didn't really know who I was. I didn't know the authentic, the deep spiritual me, and only once I was really lost, and that was 3 months ago when I graduated from school, and I didn't have any responsibilities anymore. I just had so much free time, I could do whatever I want. Only then, when I was kind of lost in life, I had time to reconnect to my spiritual self, to the person that you see right now that talks on camera, that produces these YouTube videos, that tries to share his wisdom with you. I only found to that person a few months ago, and it hasn't been that long since. So that's also something. If you're really lost right now, you can't confidently answer the question, who am I? Then it's okay. Maybe you just have to be a little lost. Maybe you just have to go through some trial and error to find out who you really are, who the person you want to be and who you should be is. So there's still a lot of room to grow there, and I don't think that you have to make a transformation like me in that sense, that in 2 to 3 months you just find yourself directly. You can also take longer times, and I think one of the reasons why we give old people kind of this stereotype of being wise is because they spend an entire lifetime on the journey of finding themselves, right? I think as I said before, like your identity will switch throughout your life. It's always fluid. It's not like it's always rigid in steel and you have to cling on to this for the rest of your life. And so I think if you look at old people, they have probably spent so much time, they have gone through so much trial and error that they, at the end of their lives, really confidently can say who they are and who they want to be. Yeah, it takes time, it takes some failures, and it's just important that you focus on the things you want to do and on the values you hold, on kind of the message you want to give out to the world, on like who you want to be. For example, I'll give you another example with myself. I really want to be a person that helps other people. That's kind of the reason why I started this YouTube channel, and I thought about that also, like I think 3 months ago, that when I die one day, I want to be a person where a lot of people will come to my grave, like friends, family, people I have helped, and that they will say Julian was somebody who made such a huge impact on our lives that it wouldn't have been the same without him. So I think it's like really these things that you should find out, like, right, I've just given you an example, like these values and these things you want to be remembered for, like the ideas you put out there, the energy you put out there, what kind of person you were, if you were a loving and compassionate person towards your family, towards your kids, if you would always share your happiness with your friends, if you would always be there for other people who were in need. It's these things, I think, that really define your identity and define the true you and define your soul and the spiritual side of you, because like the spirit and the soul inside of you, I think they all have a certain connection to the world that they want to gain and they want to give, and they want to like connect with people and give out love. And that's just the message I want to portray with this video, and that's just some of my thoughts that I think are really helpful in finding yourself. So I think it's become quite a long video, but anyways, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more content on these lines when it comes to philosophy, when it comes to spirituality, and leave a comment, like, so more people can see this video. Write power in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.